I hope y'all are ready to get real fucking spooky around here. The only spooky thing so far about this video is these under eye bags and this razor burn. This is what you see during sleep paralysis. Just imagine me doing this in the corner of your bedroom. Leighton texted me yesterday and he said, "What kind of video are you gonna film tomorrow?" I told him I wanted to read some spooky stories. He said, "Don't you think it's a little early? It's only the 17th. I said, "Never. It's never too early. I could have done this in September if I wanted to and everyone would have loved it." In honor of the very spooky Halloween vibes that we have going on around here, I'm gonna be reading you some spooky stories, some paranormal stories, maybe some murderer stories, murder mystery. I don't know. We're gonna dive in. I'm in front of my computer right now. I have not pre-looked up any stories. We're literally gonna find these together. Again, I will probably be the scariest thing in this video, but just in case you're someone who gets really spooked, be sure not to watch this at night. If you're triggered by scary, spooky monsters and ghosts, watch it with a friend, watch it in your bathroom with the vent on. That's where I always go when I'm scared. It really helps me. Let's commence the spook. All right, let's do scary paranormal stories. We're gonna go down a little bit on the webpage. We don't wanna do what everyone else has been doing. I wanna find like the stories from the dark web. Ghoststory.com. I mean, sounds legit to me if I've ever heard legit in my life. Where are the fucking stories? What the heck? Okay, I think this is actually giving me a virus. Like, I just got a virus. I love that. Ooh, just another thing to buy. 10 Southern ghost stories guaranteed to make you shudder. Well, I am a Southern gal. This is a fucking scam. I'm going to Reddit. All right. I found the gold mine. We are on Jezebel.com. That sounds like a trans girl's name. This one is titled Siblings and Scissors. Ooh, sounds like something on Pornhub. About 7 years ago, my boyfriend and I moved into a duplex. After living there for about 6 months, we had become well acquainted with our neighbors. Everyone was cool except for this older lady and her creepy brother who claimed to be a medicine man. He also liked to stare into everyone's windows, especially at women. One night, about 2 in the morning, the older lady comes pounding on our door. She said that her grandson had stolen her car and taken it to town and she needed to look for him. She didn't want to call the police on him. Unfortunately, times were tough and we only had enough gas to get to and from work, let alone drive aimlessly looking for her grandson and car. We told her we were sorry and we were unable to help. She got mad at us and stormed off, muttering to herself. We went to bed and didn't think anything of it until a week later. We had went to town for a few groceries one day. When we came home, we discovered things were amiss. Knickknacks had been moved around, our wire plant shelf had been moved away from the wall, and the back of it faced our front door. We initially thought someone had broken into our apartment, but couldn't find anything missing. The door wasn't opened or unlocked when we got home. No windows were broken or had been opened. Why do I have chills already? This isn't even the scary part, but like I have goosebumps and my nipples are hard. We thought someone was just fucking with us. Later in the evening, we went to cook dinner and discovered all our cooking knives were missing. Upon searching our apartment for the second time, we also discovered our pocket knives, scissors, and box cutters were gone. Oh my god, my pussies quaked. Starting to feel officially creeped the fuck out at this point. This sounds like it's something that I would write. I walked into my bedroom to see if there was anything else out of place. Then I noticed my needle tool used for making pottery was stuck in the wall, all the way down to the handle. It was perfectly positioned at the head of our bed, about 3 feet up between our pillows. I turned my room upside down. On a hunch, I lifted up our mattress. Lo and behold, all our kitchen knives, pocket knives, scissors, and box cutters were laying on top of the box spring. The pocket knives were opened, the box cutter blades were protruding, and the scissors in scissor position. It was some freaky demon shit. There was no way anyone had entered our house unless they had a key, which was also highly unlikely. We smudged, blessed our apartment, and prayed over it because we just felt negative energy, and spent a sleepless night being creeped out. The next morning, we went outside to smoke an anxiety cigarette. Oh my god, me. Lo and behold, our creepy pervert neighbor was on his porch, grinning at us the entire time we were out there. Imagine a psychotic Gomez Addams grin, if you will. I know it sounds scary, but we were pretty sure it had something to do with denying his sister a ride. I'm not sure what they did, but it was supernatural and it scared the actual shit out of me. Oh! Ooh! I love that. Ugh, what did you guys think of that one? You liked it? Good, I did too. Oh my God, I'm spooked. I need a jewel rip. All right, story number 2, woman's best friend. My husband lost his job and we ended up moving to a mobile home his parents own in the South California desert where he grew up. After living my entire life in the liberal enclaves of PNWN, Cali Mountains and Forests, an unexpected and unwanted move to a red zone where I knew literally no one besides my in-laws, who don't particularly like me, was highly stressful to say the least. Add to the situation that our 6-year-old was experiencing major culture shock and homesickness. Oh my God, me every year of my life when I was a child. I was about 4 months pregnant and my husband was being a major taint crumb, just to give you an idea of the level of stress in the house. Oh, and did I mention we moved in the middle of July when temperatures were hovering around 120 degrees Fahrenheit and my father-in-law neglected to tell us that the AC in the house was broken and there was no flooring in half the place? Yeah, walking nightmare. Oh, shut the fuck up, you fucking stupid ass bitch. After about a month of 3 of us living in my Phil's tiny study, the house is finally livable. It's located on the fringes of a tiny town that is about 45 minutes from the closest city. We have a truck stop gas station, a fire station, a corner store, and a smattering of houses. Our street dead ends at and is surrounded by BLM land and is tucked in between low hills, backs up to mountains. Half the other houses are uninhabited. My husband found work near his parents' house in the city, and since his parents were willing to help with childcare, our kiddos started school there as well. This left me at home alone with no car for long hours, which I secretly loved because it gave me time to unpack emotionally and physically, and also meant I had limited interaction with my in-laws, so I could enjoy being radiantly pregnant without jabs about how fat my face was getting. One day, about 3 weeks after we moved into the house, something felt off. Oh, this is where I start getting chills again. My nips are out of control. I was sitting down in the living room, which has no windows to the front yard, and suddenly had the overwhelming feeling that I had to go let my dog in now, even though she'd only been outside for a few minutes. As I walked into the kitchen, I realized that it was eerily silent and still outside. Keep in mind, it was late August in the desert, so the windows and doors were all closed and the AC was on. So I'm not sure how I knew it was creepy outside before I opened the door to call in my dog, but somehow I did. Usually, there's a breeze or bugs buzzing or hummingbirds hitting up the feeder on our deck, which had been the case when I let Doggo out. But when I opened up the sliding door to call for my dog, there was absolute silence, and when I looked out into the yard, I realized why. Sitting at our gate was a gigantic black dog. I don't mean a big dog. The top of this dog's head was just below the top edge of our 8-foot chain link gate. It was easily as wide as a Mini Cooper and looked like a cross between a Newfoundland and a grizzly bear. My dog is a Shar-Pei Pit Bull mix, and she only came to about mid-chest on this huge beast. She's sitting there, maybe 10 feet from it, with just flimsy chain fence between them, watching it quietly. Tears immediately started pouring down my cheeks. I don't cry easily. And suddenly, it felt like I was carrying 2 full-sized adults over my shoulder. It took every ounce of energy I had to walk to the edge of our small deck. I tried to very quietly whistle for my dog, and nothing really came out of it. Or if it did, it was swallowed by the silence. Still, right as I whistled, both my dog and the black dog turned their heads to me. My dog slowly stood up and calmly walked over to me. You have to understand, she is the derpiest, bounciest collection of happy squish face and love, and never does anything less than bound across the yard with her tail up, tongue out, and ears perked when she's called, so this was completely out of character. When she reached me, she turned and looked back at the black dog, then back at me, then started to walk back towards it like she wanted me to follow her. I made a lunge for her and grabbed her harness. The dog stood up and we locked eyes. I was then hit by the deepest sadness I've ever felt. Worse than when either of my parents died. It was like a cold wave crashed directly in the center of my heart. I was sobbing uncontrollably as I dragged my dog inside. When I looked back, the black dog had begun to walk down the street towards the mountains. It went behind a large Palo Verde shrub and disappeared. I sat on my kitchen floor sobbing and shivering for a good hour despite the searing summer temps. I finally calmed down and worked up the nerve to take my dog out again later that afternoon. When I checked the area around the gate for paw prints, there were none, but there was a giant void in the sandy tire tracks my husband made when he left for work. My dog remained subdued for a while, but was back to herself by the time husband and kid got home. I didn't say anything to him. Things weren't really great between us, and he was in a bad mood. But he noted later of how funny it was that our dog kept pacing back and forth in front of the gate. About a week later, I went in for a prenatal appointment. I'd lost my baby. Oh my God. The doctor said it was a failure to thrive, nothing I could have done, sometimes these things happen situation. I'd been feeling off for about 2 weeks, but had just chalked it up to how stressful life had been. I honestly would have marked the black dog off as stress-induced hallucination or something had my dog not interacted with it so extensively. About a month later, I was hiking on the south end of Joshua Tree with my husband. We turned around to follow a hawk that had flown overhead, and there on the trail we just walked was a big black dog. Not as big as the one at the house. This one was closer to the size of a normal Newfoundland. It sat down, as funny as it sounds, sneezed, then got up and walked off. My husband tried to follow it, but lost it. The area we were hiking was all low plants, nowhere for this dog to have come from or gone to without us seeing it for quite a while. Before it appeared, we'd been talking about our baby and had actually settled on a name for him, even though we'd never had met him. I guess you could see the black dog as something malicious or blame it for losing the pregnancy, but I didn't. I think it came to escort the little soul I had onto its proper place in the universe, and it gives me great comfort to think of a little boy resting in the guard of a big, fluffy dog. My husband still thinks the one we saw while hiking was a stray, but whenever my dog meets someone new, she sneezes as sort of a I'm friendly gesture. I think the dog was letting me know that the little guy made it to where he needed to be safely. Wait, why was this like so sad and cute at the end? I'm actually gonna cry. My estrogen doses are too high. I need to go to my endocrinologist. Story number 3, camera obscura. Sounds like a disease. I probably have it. Tried posting this one a few years ago, but was too late. Not a ghost story, but it's one of the scariest things that has ever happened to me. It happened during my freshman year of college, when I was back in my hometown for Thanksgiving break. I'm from a small town in New England, the kind of place you can't wait to get away from, because nothing ever happens there where I live. I guess maybe this was my town's way of getting back at me for thinking like that. Y'all, I got buku chills. These chills are turning into hives. I'm so spooked. It was late on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I was at a friend's house, happily reunited with my best friends from high school, since we were all home for the holiday. A fog settled in that night, owing to the classic New England mix of chill and humidity. As I drove home, I went by our town's library, which is situated next to a small duck pond. The fog was extra thick over the water and illuminated by the lampposts surrounding the pond. It gave it an eerie golden glow. Being the film student I was, I had my camera with me, as always. Without thinking, I turned my car around and pulled into the library parking lot, which overlooked the pond. I considered walking down to the pond for a moment, but something told me not to do that. It wasn't fear, not yet. I remember not feeling any fear at all, just excitement and awe of the sight in front of me. But still, I didn't get out of my car, and that decision probably saved my life. Instead, I kept my car running, headlights still on, and rolled down my window. I stuck my arm out the window and took a few photos of the pond and the fog. I pulled my arm back inside and looked over the photos. They were pretty terrible, given how bad of a technique I was using. This was the first time something felt wrong. As I looked at the photos, I just felt, the best way I can think to explain it is that sometimes I have nightmares about being in open water. I know that there are sharks swimming beneath me. I can't see them, but I know they're there. I realized I was having that same feeling in my waking life. As I looked through these pictures, I felt the danger before I saw it. I looked up from my camera, fully alert, and peered in front of me, but saw nothing for a moment. Then, a figure materialized out of the darkness around the pond and into the beams of my headlights. It was a man. He was wearing dark jeans and a black zip-up fleece jacket. His hair was dark and short. I don't remember his face. He was walking in the direction of the library, in the direction of my car. I waited, not wanting to let fear take over. Maybe he wasn't walking toward me. Maybe he was going to the road. But he kept coming toward me, walking faster and getting closer. I remembered my window was down and quickly rolled it up. Then he was right in front of the hood of my car, and I could tell beyond a shadow of a doubt he was staring straight at me. The look in his eyes, his face was expressionless, but his eyes were intent, determined. The moment we made eye contact, the moment I saw that look, I just reacted. I don't remember feeling fear or panic, just being more alert than I had ever been. I never took my eyes off the man as I threw my car into reverse and spun out of the parking lot spot I was in. But I went the wrong way. Instead of turning my car toward the exit, I turned toward the back parking lot. Yes, there was another exit I could get to, but I would have to drive around the entire library to get there. Either that or reverse all the way out onto the road and risk hitting someone, a tree, another car. I didn't want to risk crashing, then I'd have no escape. I decided I would have to go around the library. It would take longer, but it was the safest option. All these thoughts went through my head in an instant. The man ran to get in front of my car. One of my biggest regrets in life is not running him over there and then. But I didn't. I put my car in drive and waited. He stopped running once he was in front of the car, then took his time. He walked slowly around the hood of my car, staring at me the whole time. Our eyes followed each other. He smiled. The moment he was clear in front of my car, two things happened. He lunged for my car door, and I floored it. I remember the sight of my car sailing past his outstretched hand. I drove as fast as I've ever driven, taking the corners at speed around the library. As I came out the other side, the exit was in sight, but the man wasn't. I drove as fast as I could toward the exit. As I got in front of the library again, I looked over and saw the man running as fast as he could to get to my car. I sped out of the library parking lot and onto the main road. The police station was a block away, and I made a beeline for it, still driving recklessly fast, hoping to get pulled over by a cop. I got to the police station, and that's when the fear finally settled in. I sat in my car and cried, breathing raggedly, completely frozen. I couldn't get out of my car. I was terrified that the man had followed me there, that as soon as I got out, he would get me. A police officer came out to my car and escorted me inside. They must have seen me on their security cameras. I spoke with the female sergeant. I told her what happened, gave her the best description I could. They immediately sent cars out, but found no one. I assumed that the man was after my car, my camera maybe, and said that aloud. The female sergeant looked at me and shook her head. What she told me, I'll never forget. I don't think he was after your car or your camera. He was after you. Ah! So I think that's all the spooky stories that we're gonna do for today. I hope you guys liked this. I really, really enjoyed reading this. It definitely put me in the spooky mood, give me spooky vibes, the house, honey. So let me know if you guys want me to do this tomorrow. I'm gonna post tomorrow, and I feel like this would be really, really fun to continue. So let me know down in the comments below. As always, I will be live on Twitch after this video goes up. So after you're done watching, just click the link at the top of the description, and we can chat, we can hang out, and I can't wait to see you there. So I love you guys so much, and I will see you later. I love you so much. Bye. I love you so much. Bye.